Hey everyone, MeltingMan234 here with another Archie Sonic review. Today we'll be looking at issue 15 that was released in July of 1994. The cover shows Robotnik in Robotropolis with his I Heart to Pollute pin, and Sonic shoved in the corner box saying, "Hey you, get off of my cover!" The first story, Rockin' the Bot, starts off with Sonic running in the middle of a thunderstorm, dodging the lightning and even the raindrops. He's that fast! While he's running, he sees a frog who's been bumped by a log that's not in a hole at the bottom of the sea, and manages to save him from a mudslide, even though he's the one that has to deal with the muddy situation. The frog thanks him and gives him 3 magical stones. One gives him super strength, one gives him a powerful jump, and one gives him the power of elasticity, since it's revealed that he's a magical frog. Well, at least he's not a prince who turned into a frog. I hate to see what kind of reward he gives to Sonic. So he leaves and Sonic heads back to Knothole, thinking the stones aren't magical, and gives them the tails for good luck charms. I find this to be a bit odd. He finds a bunch of emeralds that are magical, but doesn't believe in stones that light up and look magical. Maybe he thinks they're nightlights or something. Anyway, we then cut to the Freedom Fighters out in the Mobian Badlands riding the Land Rover, which looks more like an early prototype of the Mobo Cruiser. Little do they know that Robotnik is already on their trail and manages to destroy their vehicle with his giant bug of doom. As the Freedom Fighters are trapped in a pit, Robotnik is ready to chuck a boulder at them until Sonic remembers the magic stones and tells Tails to get them out. But unfortunately, he's completely forgotten which stone has the super strength. So he thinks it's the red stone, and turns out he was wrong. You'd think that would be the end of the story, but it turns out Sonic is still alive, as the red stone was the power of elasticity. Robotnik is pissed by these turn of events, and tells Snively to get in there and capture the other Freedom Fighters and use them for bait, and manages to succeed. Score 1 for the Doctor. With confidence, Sonic uses the yellow stone for super strength, but goofs it again as he uses the one for the super jump. You'd think that he would have remembered better and actually put labels on the stone to tell which stone does what. So now that he knows that the green stone is for the super strength, he's too late as Robotnik is about ready to leave with the Freedom Fighters. So with his quick thinking, he grabs a dead trunk, carves out a slab of stone, and with the magic stone, he lifts up his new weapon and splat! Right on Robotnik's bug. And so Robotnik is defeated once again, and Sonic actually believes that the frog really was magical. And what does he do after that? Talks to a bunch of frogs to see which one was the magical one, and having no luck. Well, it ain't easy being green. The second story, Animal Magnetism, Robotnik and Snively are studying Bunny Rabbot, the only freedom fighter who is half Mobian, half roboticized. We see the freedom fighters are having a picnic and taking a rest from Robotnik's reign of terror. Antoine and Sally are keeping watch for any of Robotnik's badniks, while Rotor is cooking up something different than Mobian mush. Barbecued Mobian mush! Yeah, I say you just stick to your job as being a mechanic on the team. But it looks like the Diarrhea Gourmet will have to wait, as all of the metal they have starts flying away. Even poor Bunny is sailing with them. So Sonic dashes off to find the source of the problem, and manages to find it. A giant robot driven by Robotnik with a giant magnet. How Antoine and Sally didn't see that coming, I'll never know. Luckily, Bunny has managed to hang on to a tree from being captured. Thinking fast, Sonic grabs onto a trash can lid and tells Robotnik he's willing to be captured by the magnet robot. But Robotnik is no fool, and so Sonic walks away. Then Robotnik orders Snively to crank up the power to full blast and aim it at Sonic. But Sonic starts running around him until he's pointed at the location full of metal, Robotropolis. Already this is bad news for Robotnik, as everything from mechanical parts to badniks with the wrong color scheme pile up on the robot, blocking its magnet powers. Looks like Robotnik's metal madness would be the death of him. So the Freedom Fighters head back to Knothole as Rotor puts on a special coating on Bunny's metallic parts so that they wouldn't attract to any metal parts. But that doesn't stop Bunny's attractive looks.
Boo!
So that's issue 15. The first story is pretty standard on how Sonic saves someone's life and is repaid with some magical artifacts that really are magical. It was cool seeing Sonic use those powers, like how he had the same powers as Mr. Fantastic. Dave Manick still does the art, but for some reason Sally's hair is all ruffled up in this issue. Guess she's just having another one of those bad hair days. Writing's okay, so all in all the first story is pretty okay. The second story shows Robotnik once again planning to capture Bunny and use her for his advantage. You really don't see that in Satayan, since he managed to capture her once and that was it, never made better plans in capturing her again. Although they could have done more involvement with the story, like more involvement with the characters and more involvement with the giant magnetic robot, like implant metal parts on the freedom fighters and try to capture them. There's also a third story about Rotor building a new invention and everyone's guessing what it is, and it's a bit stupid when he unveils it. So the issue is okay, even though they could have done more with the stories. Now let's move on to issue 16 that was released on August of 1994. And the cover for this issue is pretty scary. As Robotnik finally captured the freedom fighters, Sally's wearing a vest even though she's not supposed to until a few issues later. Could this be the end of our heroes? Well, let's find out with the first story, Sonic Under Glass. We start off with the freedom fighters finally defeated Robotnik and destroyed Robotropolis. Already? The cover lied to me! I'm sure there's an explanation for all this, but it looks like there's no time for explaining because now that Mobius is at peace again, Sonic and Sally are finally getting married, and all the sensitive Sonic fangirls screamed in anger that day. But not everything is peaches and cream as we see Robotnik watching these events trapped within a globe. It turns out that he tricked the freedom fighters to some free chili dog stand, only to be knocked out by some sleeping gas and dragged all the way to Robotropolis. They were then hooked up to a virtual simulator connected to a computer that makes their wishes come true while they're trapped in their virtual reality. See? I told you there'd be an explanation for all this! This isn't like the Sega Sonic universe where they never explain a damn thing. Now that the freedom fighters have been captured, Robotnik sends out his army of war machines to destroy Mobius, and leaves to enjoy his victory. You'd think he would have better security to watch over the machines because back in the virtual reality, Antoine places Sonic as the janitor and becomes the groom to the wedding. And everything goes all haywire as the place starts changing scenery, melting clocks pop out of nowhere, holes also pop out of nowhere, Uncle Chuck and Mutsky show up to the wedding, and did I mention melting clocks? Sonic is surprised to see his uncle back to normal, but is still confused with all this other madness, and the melting clocks. So after a quick explanation, Sonic learns that they're trapped in a virtual reality, and creates a device to see actual reality with a snap of his fingers. Now that he knows about Robotnik's war machines, Sonic is left with a decision. Either stay in the virtual reality and live their lives in a non-existing world, or escape and actually save Mobius. So he chooses option 3, control Robotnik's war machines and threaten to destroy Robotropolis unless Robotnik sets them free. Bow down before the power of 3D glasses! With no choice, Robotnik releases them, and for the finishing touches, the war machines are destroyed, the freedom fighters escape, while the roboticized Chuck and Mutsky are forced to clean up the damage from Robotnik's defeat. While the freedom fighters both won by escaping and lost by not saving Chuck, Sonic vows that he will one day save his uncle, this time for real. The second story, The Man from Hedgehog, Robotnik is outraged that the Secret Intelligence Division has managed to foil his plans time after time. Assuming that there's a mole spying on them, he orders Snively and Crabmeat to find him, and surprisingly, they actually found one. So after torturing him with blazing light and heat, he asks who's the head of the Secret Intelligence, and the mole replies that he's right. What? Oh, I get it. Who's both a spy and the first baseman on the baseball team, and what's on second? Nah, that can't be, unless somebody knows the reference I'm making. So, without getting a clear answer, the mole is dragged away as Robotnik unveils his latest creation, the Wheel of Misfortune. One spin of the wheel will give Robotnik a new plan so quickly, no one will see it coming. So the first plan is to send Coconuts and Jaws to do some underwater bank robbing, where they find a note inside saying, "Look behind you." Well, so much for that plan. I didn't know Winnie the Pooh was a freedom fighter. So, since that didn't go so well, he sends Scratch and Grounder to rob a painting at a museum. Oh great, Pooh Bear and Eeyore are in this story? It's like if the freedom fighters went to the 100-acre wood to hire some new recruits. Who are they gonna hire next? Bloody ponies? Anyway, Sonic catches up to them and saves the portrait and sends the two numbnuts to the toxic waste dumps, leaving behind a note. Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of Robotnik? With another spin of the wheel, the next plan is sending a neutron and a ball hog to plant some dynamite for some mindless act of terrorism. Yeah, that's what it says. And since nobody's watching the detonator, you all know where this is going. Once again, a note is left behind saying, "The owls are not what they seem." Not sure what's up with the hug and kisses, though. Man, either the wheel's malfunctioning or it's making Robotnik dumber and dumber. So we then see Sonic and Sally dressed up to the casino night, and... Oh my god, Sally's wearing a dress, ruined forever. No, she isn't. She's doing undercover work with Sonic. But she's wearing clothes, and clothes are poisonous. It's just a dress. Her personality or abilities haven't changed. This isn't like in that episode of Dave the Barbarian when Fang turned evil from wearing those possessed lederhosens. Yes, it is. Get out of my house! Fine. I still hate you. Anyway, Sonic and Sally head on over and play some random poker game, only to have a bunch of badniks come after Sonic, mainly SWAT bots dressed up as thugs. So Sonic starts spinning around in circles on the carpet floor and gives the SWAT bot an electric charge. Well, it shows that he really overdid it because he managed to knock himself out and fall in the hole that he left on the floor. He soon wakes up strapped to the Wheel of Misfortune with Robotnik ready to fire every gun that he has up his sleeve. I wonder how Sonic's gonna get out of this tough situation. Yeesh, that was crazy. Somebody went and turned off the lights and all this gun firing and random crap started happening. Let me see if I can find the light switch. Wrong light switch. Ah, there's the one. Whoa, looks like Sonic managed to escape. And wouldn't you know it, the reel was rigged the whole time because there was a camera built into the bag. Wonder why Robotnik didn't see that in the first place. So Sonic and Sally head back to the Secret Intelligence headquarters after defeating Robotnik once again. There's only one question left. How many licks does it take to get to the chewy center of a lollipop? Well, so much for that. The world may never know. So that's issue 16. The first story pretty much fools you in thinking that they've won the battle against Robotnik, and then you find out that they're trapped in a virtual reality. This is probably the only time Robotnik has managed to capture all the freedom fighters. Even though he could have just roboticized them on the spot, but hey, we wouldn't have a comic series anymore now, would we? This also introduces Sally's third and final color scheme, which would be established into the series from here on out. It would briefly explain about her different color schemes in one of the Knuckles comics, and it's a little bit odd. My one complaint is that the coloring tends to be sloppy at times, whether they are too lazy to give characters an actual color scheme for their eyes, or if they have no idea what the character's color scheme is and they just keep on guessing, like how in this issue, Grounder goes from pink to yellow. Yeesh, didn't they have some kind of model sheet to help them out with this one? The second story is pretty much a fun parody off of those spy films where they go around and do spy stuff, and Sonic does look good in the tux. I would like to point out with the current events going on how Sally's been roboticized again, and when she's going to be de-roboticized again, there's a possibility that she's going to be wearing some new clothes, and already everyone's going into a tizzy over this. It's like, yeesh, this ain't the first time she's worn clothes. Remember she was young and wore that fancy outfit? Or in this issue where she wore that dress? Or any of the other times that she wore clothes? Yeah, nobody went batshit crazy over this. I just found this to be very stupid. First they ranted about her not wearing clothes, and now they're ranting about her wearing clothes. Oi, stupid bloody fanbrats. The character Harvey Who had a small role in the comic as the head of the secret HQ, and to think he would have more of a bigger role years later. So the issues are good. Sure, they could have done more work with the stories and a little bit more job with the coloring, but it's better than nothing. Well, that wraps up this Archie Sonic review. So this is Melting Man 234 signing out.